I call to order this meeting of the Planning Commission of May 7th, 2025. I now ask for a moment of silence. Commissioner Smith, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Kayla, roll call.
Commissioner Ochoa,
Present.
Smith,
Present.
Greggins,
Present.
Delgadillo, Swigert,
Present.
Tao,
Present.
and Chairperson Gonzalez, absent excused.
We have a quorum. Kayla will now read the information about how the public may participate in the meeting.
Members of the audience who wish to address the Planning Commission are requested to complete a speaker card available at the podium at the back of the council chamber. Please submit the completed card to the clerk before the item is called, preferably before the meeting begins. I would like to briefly go over the process of submitting comments to the Planning Commission. Please submit your public comment to the Planning Commission electronically no later than 1 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Comments received before the deadline will be sent to the Planning Commission and will be part of the record and mentioned as part of the public comment portion of the agenda. Material may be emailed to planningweb@cityofmerced.org and should be limited to 300 words or less. Please specify which portion of the agenda you are commenting on, for example, oral communications or item number. Your comments will be presented to the Planning Commission at the appropriate time. Any correspondence received after 1 p.m. will be distributed to the Planning Commission and retained for the official record. To view video and listen to the Planning Commission meeting live, go to the city's website, www.cityofmerced.org, Facebook Live, or Comcast Public Access Channel 96.
Members of the public who wish to speak on any matter not listed on the agenda may speak during this portion of the meeting and will be allotted 3 minutes. State law prohibits the Planning Commission from acting at this meeting on any matter raised during the public comment period. Members of the public who wish to speak on a matter that is listed on the agenda will be called upon during the discussion of that item. Kayla, do we have any requests to speak?
No.
Seeing no additional requests to speak, public comment is now closed. That brings us to item D, consent calendar. Would any of the chairmen like to remove any items for separate consideration? Seeing none. Kayla, do we have any requests to speak on consent item?
No.
Seeing no requests to speak, do we have a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve the consent calendar and a second. Commissioners, please cast your vote. The item passes unanimously. Okay, this brings us to item E, public hearings. E1, conditional permit 25000006, the AT&T Mono Palm Tower at Rahaile. Kayla?
Conditional use permit number 25-0006, initiated by AT&T Mobility on behalf of the City of Merced property owner. This application involves a request to construct a 55-foot-tall wireless communication tower in the form of a stealth monopalm tree at 3400 Parsons Avenue, generally located at the northeast corner of Parsons Avenue and Brookdale Drive, with a general plan designation of open space and a zoning classification of R16. This is a public hearing.
All right, good evening, Commissioner, Chairperson, and members of the audience. Before you, I will present conditional use permit 25-0006, submitted by AT&T Mobility for a 55-foot tall stealth monopalm telecommunication tower at 3400 Parsons Avenue, known as Rahali Park. In the presentation, I'm going to go over a little bit of the project background, some relevant land use policies, the location map, and site plans and elevations. So a little bit of background on this. The project originally went to the site plan review committee meeting on April 3rd of 2025. Due to interface review, a public hearing was held where 5 speakers spoke against this project. Due to the community interest, the site plan review committee voted to refer this item to the planning commission meeting per municipal code as stated up there. Some of the relevant land use policies, the project complies with the general plan and the zoning classification. The maximum height for a structure allowed in our R16 zone is at 35 feet. However, the municipal code allows a stealth wireless communication facility and antenna over 140% of height limit with approval of a land use permit. The stealth facilities are intended to blend in with the surrounding environment, such as examples include as wireless towers disguised as trees or flagpoles. The communication tower would not block any of the scenic corridor identified in the general plan. So the project site is located at Rahali Park. The surrounding properties to the subject site are single-family residential R16 zone. To the southeast is Chenoweth Elementary School, and then to the west of this, to the east of this is Merced County. Okay, so this is a site plan. The proposed tower is to be located on ground level on the northwest quadrant of the subject site. The tower equipment is to be located inside an 8-foot tall CMU block wall. The tower itself will be set back at least 184 feet from properties to the north, that is frontage of El Portal Drive. So as you can see in the red, the proposed mono palm tree is within a grove of other palm trees in the surrounding areas. So the stealth monopalm tower design, the height structure is allowed at 55 feet. The monopalm branches is going to extend out to 60 feet. The antennas shall be painted green to blend in, which is condition number 13. The ancillary cabinet ground equipment will be enclosed by an 8-foot tall soundproof CMU wall. And again, as you can see in the elevation of this, there are going to be smaller antennas that's going to be covered by a monopalm bulb, so that's not going to be noticeable. And then the branches of the south monopalm tower, this is going to extend out to 60 feet. However, the existing palm trees there are up to 65 feet. So this is an example of an existing south monopalm tower that AT&T has put up. This is not in the city. However, this is an example of what they do have up. All right, so these are elevations existing to the proposed. This is a view from Shamrock Place. So to the left side, that's a picture of what's existing. And then to the right, that's what's going to look like with a proposed tower. And then this is a view from Nottingham Avenue. Left is existing, right is proposed. View from Cascade Creek. Left is existing and right is proposed. View from Parsons. Left is existing and then right is proposed. And this is a view from the Rahali Park. As you can see, again, the proposed monopalm cell tower is within another grove of palm trees. It will be at 55 feet, and the existing trees are up to 65. And then this is a view from El Portal Drive. And then the existing is now onto the right-hand side, whereas the proposed is onto the left-hand side. So to go over some conditions for this, condition number 8, just goes over that a certification by a radio frequency engineer shall be submitted during the building permit stage to make sure the project meets FCC radio frequency radiation standards. Condition number 9 goes over that the applicant will need to work with the Merced Regional Airport and comply with their requirements. Condition number 10, the max height allowed is 55 feet. Condition number 13, the color of the branches and bark shall match of an existing palm tree and consistently be maintained. Condition number 21 talks about noises being generated by the facility shall be kept to a minimum. Here are some findings. So according to section 332C7 of the Federal Telecommunication Act, local government may not, 1, prohibit or effectively prohibit personal wireless service, 2, unreasonably discriminate among providers or functionally equivalent service provider, 3, regulate personal wireless service facilities based on the environmental effects from radio frequency emission to the extent such as emission meets the FCC guidelines. So in addition, the radio frequency emission of the proposed cell tower will meet the FCC guidelines as attachment G of the Planning Commission staff report 25-302. So mandatory findings that we would need to make would be the development standards in the municipal code, which is finding H, exhibit B, mandatory findings for conditional use permit, finding J, exhibit B, wireless communication facility findings, finding K, exhibit B. So the reason for this request is to fill in the gap coverage. To the left-hand side is the current coverage for which it limits to only outdoor coverage, as you can see in blue. With the proposed cell tower, this will help with the gap coverage and improve indoor and outdoor onto the right side, which is green. And then, of course, a communication tower will be used by AT&T Mobility to improve local LTE coverage for the area in FirstNet. During the site plan review, there was interface review that required notifying only properties owners directly adjacent to the subject site. And then for this May 7th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting, a notice was mailed out to all property owners within the 300-foot radius of the project site. As you can see in the map, everything that's shaded, those were the property owners that were sent a notice. So during the site plan review, staff received 3 emails in opposition to the project, and then at the meeting, there were 5 speakers in opposition to the project. For the Planning Commission meeting today, staff has received 7 emails and 1 petition with 51 signatures in opposition to the project and 3 emails in support. So after the public hearing, the Planning Commission may approve, disapprove, modify Environmental Review 25-0002 and Conditional Use Permit 25-006. And this concludes my presentation.
Commissioners, do you have any question for the project planner? Commissioner Ochoa.
Hello, thank you for your presentation. I think last meeting there was a monthly payment that AT&T was going to put out. Do you know what that is?
So for what's up for consideration is just the land use entitlement, and I don't think the agreement is part of it, right, Johnny? Can you fill in?
Yes, that's correct. What we're looking at today is an approval for the entitlement. The lease agreement is not part of the purview of this commission, and so and that's still being discussed anyway. So we don't have an update on that.
Got it. Thank you.
Commissioners, anything else? Is the applicant here?
Yes, he's here.
If the at this time, I'd invite the applicant, because this is a public hearing, to speak. You'll have 15 minutes, including rebuttal time.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for your time. My name is Carl Jones. I'm the AT&T applicant here today. And first and foremost, thank you, Jesse, for all of your work on the staff report. Takes a lot, and appreciate all your time and consideration. To give a little bit of a backstory on where we are today, AT&T have worked hard and closely with the city to address residents who submitted comments to the earlier application that were demanding the city reconsider Rahilly Park as an alternate site for this particular project. AT&T has recognized a significant gap in coverage and service, and that's what we're trying to do in the city of Merced. AT&T and the city staff, I feel, have took care and time to ensure that the location design that we're looking at today has little to no effect on the aesthetic quality of the park and or the surrounding areas. I think city staff have prepared draft condition of approval that, among other things, ensure that the facility's stealth and sits among the existing palm trees are there, which, as you can see from the photo simulations, it was very difficult with that. The highlighted yellow box to actually see where the tower is going to be, as it's more than 10 feet less than what the grove of trees that will continue to grow over time, including the other foliage stuff around. AT&T stands ready to comply with those conditions, ensure the installation has minimal impact on the park and surrounding area. I think Jesse had mentioned FirstNet. AT&T's proposed facility is part of the AT&T's commitment to support public safety and partnership with FirstNet. I know that I spoke with the police chief and the fire department chief, and they all use FirstNet and have witnessed when, during critical incidents, when a network can get saturated and their own communications becomes very difficult for them to communicate together. So again, I feel this not only will make the park a safer place, but obviously it's providing much needed infrastructure as communication and systems grow and population grows. The proposed site, as Jesse had also stated in the staff report, will easily comply with the FCC regulation. The purpose is to promote safety. Residents, businesses will also obviously gain advantage by having this with indoor coverage improvements. A lot of people do work from home now, including health professionals. So what a lot of the sites that we're doing these days do are not just coverage, it's just providing that important data. So on behalf of AT&T, I respectfully request that you guys approve tonight's condition approval that's in front of you. And if you have any questions, I'm here to help in any way I can.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Delgadillo.
Are you familiar with the possibility about adding 2 additional conditions?
I don't understand the question, sorry.
Oh, okay, well, maybe we'll discuss it later on. It'll come up.
Commissioners, anything else? Okay. Seeing nothing further from the commissioners at this time, thank you very much. Kayla, do we have any other speakers, written correspondence, or formalized opposition to this item?
Yes, we do. We do have a leader of opposition, Brenda Morgan. I do call you to the podium.
Ms. Morgan, as leader of opposition, you'll have 15 minutes, including,
Thank you. Okay. First, I would like to explain my pictures. I don't have a nice PowerPoint. So if you take the photos.
Ms. Morgan, can you speak into the microphone for the record?
Yes, okay. So if you take the photos that were submitted in the PowerPoint, number 3, this is further south, so onto the bike path. Number 4 would be at the picnic center, and number 5 would be moved into the shelter, and the last one would be the views from our homes. So I would like to say that I am Brenda, a resident of the El Portal neighborhood, and some of our neighbors have elected me as the leader of opposition. I am a cancer survivor, and we strongly oppose the building of a cell tower in Raheli Park, number 250006. This tower is unnecessary. AT&T and FirstNet do have satellite technology. So, and according to antennasearch.com, AT&T already has 4 registered cell towers and 10 unregistered towers within a 3-mile radius of Raheli Park. So why should we lose our public space, peace, safety, and equity for their bad planning and greed? This tower site would harm the beauty of Raheli Park and the banks of Black Rascal Creek, threatening the habitat of the California tiger salamander and the western pond turtle. Both are protected species of California. Also, it would create an eyesore in our park and violate the Merced Vision of 2030, which aims to preserve our open spaces in their natural state. That would be in Chapter 7, OS 1.2. The project also infringes on our public space and public peace due to the noise, the equipment, and that enclosure of 50 square foot area with an 8-foot high wall, according to the resolution 4155 in Part D. It's a wall around a tower in the most prime location of our park, next to the picnic area and on the creek bank. The combination will be visible from our homes 100% of the time. It will, so that would be the white spaces, would be the deleted public space that we're gonna have to have. It's proposed on the highest hill in the park, and the tower would be much higher than 55 feet. Its wall will block the view from the creek and the picnic area. It will make a platform for people to look into our homes, threatening our safety and making us more vulnerable to robbery and bodily harm and depleting the value of our neighborhood. It's 184 feet from our homes. The tower will be covered with PVC plastic as its disguise. According to Environmental Health Trust, PVC plastic is known for creating microplastic pollution, which is harmful to humans, local wildlife, and will end up in our drinking water as this disguise deteriorates in the years to come. It's going to be next to our creek. This wall will collect trash along the side of it. We already have neighbors that go and clean the park regularly. And during the windy season, it will be an invitation for homeless to enter rather than seek out registered shelters. It will create a hiding spot for others with ill intentions, inviting more crime into our park. There have been multiple studies that show cell towers have negative impacts on human health. This is a big concern for me and our neighborhood. The Environmental Health Trust, the National Library of Medicine, as well as others have studies that have proven radio frequency, RF, destroys our health. Additionally, I like to point out that the FCC and the FDA do have a judgment against them from the DC National Court of Appeals for failing to adequately address the health risks of radio frequency, and that was entered on August 13, 2021. Merced Code Section 18.68070 in Section B states Merced should always consider county-owned property first. That puts this tower at the Merced County Fire Station, number 85 on McKee Road, before considering Raheli Park. That same code in Section C also states whenever feasible to locate new wireless communication towers in commercial or industrial areas. Isn't the hub on McKee and Yosemite zoned commercial? I think it is. And there is still construction going on. So it'll give people a choice to if they wanted to live near a cell tower rather than putting it in our park. There is also the water tank, which should be considered. And I believe that was alternative sites number 3. So there's 3 locations that should have been considered before our park ever would have been considered. We are asking the council to deny this permit and keep it here. But we also want to be sure that if it has to go to court and all that stuff, that the council does note that we have raised concerns for public safety, noise, environmental harm, public health, and the depletion of our property value, as well as it will take away open space. We also gave options in this for this item to be placed in areas where most of the communication towers are and within applicant's desired range. The applicant looked at Brasconi Park, and the hub is actually closer and that to his targeted area. And Brasconi Park would have been alternative site number 10. So at this time, I would like to ask the audience if they oppose this tower being placed in our park to please stand. As you can see, your constituents don't want it there. And I would like to reserve the rest of my time for rebuttal.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
At this time, I'd like to invite the applicant back for his remaining time for rebuttal. Anything?
Firstly, thank you for your concerns. I'm listening to you. I live in Folsom, little town, so I'm very proud of my town too, and I take everything into consideration that people have to say. In Folsom, we have, I think, 22 cell sites within the city parks. It has proven that it has made the parks safer. It has actually limited vandalism. We have little homelessness in the city parks. And again, I don't know of any robberies that happen in the park. Having worked closely with the parks director, the operations parks manager, they have told me there are a lot of concerns with this particular park, that there is homelessness and there has been a lot of vandalism. So we worked with the city officials on to try and make the AT&T site as safe as possible by putting a sensor light over nighttime to try and cut down on some of the vandalism and homelessness that is happening in this park. So I actually feel, with all due respect, that this is going to make the park and the community safer. And in the event that there is an emergency in the park, somebody can hopefully make a 911 call in the event they need to. So, and as we'd mentioned on health concerns to cell sites, the federal government has made it clear that we cannot make a ruling based on health concerns. So again, with all due respect, I'm listening to what you're saying, but I'm hoping this facility is going to make the park safer and give more opportunity to first responders having clear coverage throughout any incident that may occur. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, would the Leader of Opposition like to make a rebuttal with the remaining time?
I would like to say that this tower is going to be 184 feet from our homes. If there is a person that wants to do us harm, that allows them an elevated platform. This wall will be 8 feet tall, and they will be able to see directly into our homes and into our gardens. So if they wanted to have that, that puts us in range of multiple weapons. So there is that. It's not just the RF. We did bring up RF, but we also brought up a lot of other concerns, such as the environment, public safety, noise, and of course, the loss of property value. RF was only one of our concerns. So we are depending on you to make the right choice and actually deny this permit, to keep our parks inviting and beautiful, not to line the pockets of big wireless. Applicant's gonna go home to the Bay Area. We will be stuck looking at a wall. This wall will be limiting our children's space to play and having a tower that will encourage electronic communications instead of real interactions. It'll be a reminder. This concrete slab will also limit our habitat for, of course, our endangered species. And it will be there for years and years. So that is our main concerns. There are 5 of them, not just RF. Please move the tower to a commercial location. There's plenty of them. Thank you.
Thank you. With the applicant? Good. This is a public hearing. Are there any other members of the public that wish to speak on this item?
Yes, there are. I do call Julie Horrell to the podium.
My name is Julie Horrell, and I am a resident of El Patel Drive. My home actually backs up right to Riley Park, right next door to Brenda's, and we oppose the cell phone tower for several reasons. On April 3rd, myself and 5 of our neighbors attended the Merced City site meeting where Mr. Carl Jones stated that the cell phone tower would reduce crime in our neighborhood. Well, I'm a retired deputy probation officer for the county. I served 22 years. That's completely a false statement. The only thing that's going to reduce crime in this town is an increase of police officers, not a cell phone tower. As far as the tower, it's going to have an 8-foot wall around it, as stated, and that is going to be an open invitation for taggers to graffiti it. From my windows in the back of my house, I will be able to see that graffiti. I'm also aware that AT&T has a tower on Park with the same type of wall structure that is constantly infiltrated by homeless. Along with the homeless comes with the debris, the garbage, and City PD have tried to clean it up, but Merced City Refuge refuses to help and aid in that. So again, not only will we have to deal with the transients, but excessive garbage as well. Not fair. The effects on with the low RF radiation, according to the American Cancer Society, the Institute of Research on Cancer, and the Environmental Health Trust, all talk about the increased dangers of low RF radiation on a consistent basis. And with that comes the increased risk of cancer, genetic damage, memory deficits, and nervous system impacts. With areas where the constant low F radiation is present with young children, it causes sterility. So that is a huge concern. Mr. Jones then went and stated that he lives in Folsom at our meeting, and again reiterated it today, and how lucky he is that he doesn't have to deal with the homeless. But again, we do. That is a constant concern, and it'll be 200 feet from my backyard. My neighbors and myself bought our homes where we did because of the views, and now we're at risk for having our property decrease in value. Mr. Jones stated that that wasn't true in our April meeting, but I have a sister-in-law who's a realtor in Clovis, and it isn't true a fact. Homeowners have a hard time selling their homes, and buyers don't want to buy a home where there's cell phone towers or wires there. So we would ask that you please consider moving the location from our homes. Also, side note, also, on January 6th of this year, you guys moved the original site, which was slated for 1717 East Olive Avenue, and you stated based on the home decreased values, health risk, and the eyesores. So we would like the same courtesy. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do call Tom Martinez and Addison Martinez to the podium.
My name is Addison Martinez, and I'm 12 years old. I live just 155 feet away from where the new cell tower is planned to be built. I'm here today to say, please don't let this happen. I'm not a scientist, but I do know that cell towers give off radiation all the time. That radiation has to go somewhere, and it will go right into our neighborhood, right into the house where I sleep, where I eat, and where I play with my 5-year-old little brother. That makes me feel scared. I've read that even though experts are still debating how harmful radiation is, nobody can say it's 100% safe, especially for kids like us. Also, cell towers make a low humming sound that doesn't go away. Even when it's quiet outside, the tower will still be buzzing. That means no more peaceful nights with the windows open, no more quiet time to read or do homework, and no more relaxing afternoons in my swimming pool without that constant humming sound in the background. My little brother might not even be able to sleep at night. Imagine having a giant machine buzzing outside your bedroom every single night. Another thing that really matters to me is Rahilly Park. I sold lemonade when I was in 2nd grade to raise money to donate to the city to plant more trees. My goal was to give birds, squirrels, and other animals more homes. I wanted to make the park even more beautiful for the kids and families to enjoy. Putting a cell tower in Rahilly Park would undo all the work I tried to build. Cell towers can hurt wildlife, especially birds. They give off radiation, they can mess with how birds fly and nest, and they don't belong in a peaceful, natural place where animals live and children play. There are so many other places in our city where a cell tower could be built, places where people don't live so close by. Why put it right next to a family's home and in the middle of a park that so many people love? I know cell towers help with phone service and the internet, but our safety and health should come first. I want to feel safe in my own home. I want to play outside without worrying about radiation. I want my little brother to sleep peacefully at night. And I want Rahilly Park to stay full of nature and life, not machines. Please think about what it would feel like if this cell tower were going up 155 feet away from your house. I ask you from the bottom of my heart, vote no on this project.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I'm really proud of Addison. So I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'm here to urge you to deny this application for this stealth cell tower that's going to be put in our neighborhood and in our homes. This site is designated as low-density residential in the general plan, and it's zoned, as was spoken before, as R16, a zoning classification meant for single-family homes and lots of at least 6,000 square feet. A commercial utility tower is completely incompatible with this zoning. It undermines the purpose of protecting the neighborhood character, safety, and residential quality of life. Approving this site sets a dangerous precedent. If a cell tower is allowed in an R16 zoned area, what's to stop future industrial uses in other protected neighborhoods? Zoning laws are meant to preserve the residential integrity of our community, and this approval would weaken that protection citywide. There are alternative locations, nearby commercial and industrial zones that could accommodate this tower without disrupting residential areas and our quality of life. Like Brenda mentioned, there are 3 alternatives already identified. The law requires you to evaluate less intrusive sites first. The Telecommunications Act of 96 does not require you to approve towers in inappropriate locations. It only prohibits decisions that create a blanket ban on wireless services. You still have the full authority to deny cell tower permits based on land use, aesthetics, and community impact. And as long as service isn't completely blocked. There is no evidence that this site is the only viable option, only that it's convenient for the applicant, but it's not convenient for our community. As we mentioned, we're less than 200 feet from the proposed site, and I'm deeply concerned about the impact on property value, on our privacy, and our quality of life. Additionally, the visual impact of a 55-foot tower, stealth or not, in our park would dramatically change the aesthetics of this green space and disrupt the peaceful nature of this area. It's meant to be a retreat for residents, for the larger Merced community, and for wildlife. No one expects a cell tower to appear in their backyard in a low-density residential neighborhood. I implore you, please, please uphold the zoning laws and vote no on this proposed plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
I call Aurora Martinez to the podium.
I am a resident of the El Portal area, and I am deeply disappointed by the applicant's disregard for our community. Not only is this cell tower a serious threat to our health and the environment, but also represents a shameful eyesore that tarnishes the beauty of our beloved park. Rahilly Park is more than just a green space. It's a place filled with cherished memories, weddings, birthdays, prom photos, and family reunions. These moments that should be celebrated, not overshadowed by an industrial structure that disrupts the peaceful, welcoming atmosphere that has long defined our park. This tower will irreparably damage the heart and soul of our community, and it's heartbreaking to think that something so thoughtless could blemish a place we all hold dear. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else from the public who hasn't already spoken on this item, like to speak on this item? Seeing none, would the applicant like any rebuttal? No? Oh, we do have one in the back.
My name is Genevieve Rasmussen, and I live off of Jorg. I get nervous. I don't have anything scripted, but I just want to say that I grew up here, and Rahilee is one of our most beautiful parks regarding the trees and the wildlife. My family, my husband and my 4 children, we frequent that park. We walk there all the time. We actually walk through the palm trees because we're coming from the north to get to the playground. And I can assure you that I will avoid this park if that structure is put there. In fact, my husband hangs a hammock between those palm trees. And I remember laying on the hammock, looking up at the beautiful trees, thinking, I wish I was in Cancun like I was last year. And like it's a respite. You know, parks are a place to go to relieve from stress, to get away from the daily grind, to be with our children. And I can tell you with 4 young children, parks are a place that I go that you can get free entertainment and a little piece of nature and physical play for your children. So I just want to second the things that everyone has said here. And especially for the wildlife, my husband and kids go and catch frogs and crawdads, and it would be a real shame if you guys approve this. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on this item?
Good evening. I was not planning to come up here, but I was very touched by the mother that just spoke. Many years ago, when my daughter was in kindergarten, I actually used to go to Rahilee Park, right between those palm trees and that beautiful willow tree, to do my yoga, to zen out. My daughter called it Rainbow Park. When it was time for her to start going to school, my husband and I made a strategic move and planned strategically to move in that house, which is going to be 155 feet from this proposed project. So with that said, if we're not out camping, our home and our park is our happiness. And I just feel like we are going to be so robbed. My daughter was awarded in this room by Mayor Serrato Volunteer of the Year for planting 13 trees called Addison's Grove. I'm so proud of her. And just to see the disillusion and to see the sadness in her face when she heard these news at such a young age and worried about her brother. And if I decided to spend years of my life here, the damage that's going to be happening on a daily for my children and all the other children, it's just devastating. And I really hope that you all dig a little bit deeper. Merced has a lot of other locations. I just don't understand, and I can't fathom why anybody would consider a location that is such a beautiful place surrounded by children and 2 schools. It's just, I'm going to compose myself. It just seems absurd. And I really hope that you all take just a little bit and dig deep into your heart and consider a different location and say no. Thank you.
Thank you. Please. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public comment is closed, and I'll bring it back to the commission for discussion. Commissioners. Commissioner Delgadillo.
I got a notice that the possibility that we might add two conditions. Is this the time to discuss it?
Excuse me. So that is actually in regards to the next project.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry about the confusion.
Commissioner Ochoa.
Another fun one. Another fun one. You know, we denied the last project simply because it was going to be in the middle of an empty field. And that's kind of was our denial basis here, and I don't really see that here. I think it's going to blend in a little bit better with the surrounding area. As far as the proposed areas go, we're going to have the same conversation regardless of where this goes, I believe. I think we're going to still have people saying this is too close to my home. It's going to happen anywhere. I did want to ask city staff if the police or fire department has stated anything about the necessity of a tower for specifically in regards to FirstNet capabilities there in that area.
Actually, I do have Chris Jensen here from Parks. Maybe he has some more information about that discussion.
Good evening, Chair and Commission. I actually don't have any intel from PD or Fire on the FirstNet capabilities.
Director Jensen, since you're up at the microphone, since you're there, I do have a question for you.
Sure.
In regards to, you being over parks, do you see any concerns in regards to parks, set aside, anything else regarding the cell site, but any concerns on this project at all?
Just a couple of things that we would ask of any applicant for an infrastructure project going in, that it blend in with the facility, not interrupt with the utility of the area. Some of the concepts or issues that the community raised are definitely understood and currently one of our struggles across the parkscape, not just at Rahaili, but in others. One thing that I would like to raise up is that this is a little bit different than a neighborhood park in that it's a community-wide park, meaning it serves a vast majority of residents, not just the immediate area. So typically for community parks, we have different utilities as well as amenities, as well as reservable shelters. That's one of our difficulties right now, is actually reserving that site because of the ongoing vandalism and transient activity on location there. So it's definitely understood the concerns. Our hope would be that any application actually helped mitigate some of those issues.
Okay, a follow-up question, because the issue was brought up for, I guess it's regarding the wall that surrounds the cell site area. Not having any other cell sites that I'm aware of in any parks that we currently have, this would be our first, correct?
Correct.
But I would assume that there's other structures very similar, maybe a trash can type enclosure for, I don't know. How would you, as the parks, like to see like graffiti abatement or things that are maybe put in front of it to, I don't know.
Well, to your point, we don't have, unfortunately, trash can enclosures, but that's a great idea. I'll bring it up to the Parks and Rec Commission. But along those lines, we do have bathrooms. Bathrooms are a really good example of infrastructure that's permanent, does prohibit view, walkability. It's an amenity that has to be meandered around. Because it's a utility for the space. Those actively come across issues of vandalism and such. And so what we've started to do is work with our Arts Commission to actually wrap them in local art, which tends to beautify the spaces. We've had 3 installations across our park system at other community or regional parks, including McNamara, Applegate Park, and Gilbert Macias. And all 3 locations have had probably a 90% decrease in vandalism on those amenities. Another implementation method could be to plant specific growth around the vicinity to try to make it blend in even more, such as crawling ivy, ground covers, creeping fig, etc. And those have shown to be crime prevention by design tools.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioners, anything for the director while we have him?
Yeah. Sorry. I know
okay.
you're getting ready to go sit down. So by the look of the structure, it's going to kind of mirror the bathroom, the same cinder block, the same color, and then also the structure has that same cinder also.
The structure does, yes, you're right. The restroom there is actually one of the restrooms that we upgraded recently on
forgot,
the
yeah.
inside.
Okay.
The outside is actually similar to like a metal siding, so it doesn't blend in other than color. But we did want to make sure that any material that was added to the park did blend in with at least existing materials, which, to your point, it does blend in with the cinder block that faces the southern portion of the shade structure there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioners, anything else? No? Thank you, Director.
You're welcome.
I do have a follow-up question to what he said, but it's not directly to him because I don't think it applies to his department, and I may have to have you walk back up, but you'll get your steps if I'm wrong. The Director of Parks, he mentioned that for structures like this, they commission, the Arts Commission to, do murals, plants, things of that nature. Now, generally, that's all been done for city property that's already been put in place. Who would incur the cost in this situation for a mural to be added to this wall or to plant something around those walls? Would that be something that's built into the contract? Or is that something that the city will have to take in later down the road on their own accord?
Well, it could be built into the contract. I mean, that's one option. Another option would be to award it to an artist through our Art and Cultural Commission, which usually is funded through grants. But there are a couple of options, and of course, Chris has more experience with that. But a contract could be one way if we decide that that's how we would want to mitigate the, say, the vandalism, create an opportunity for an artist to be, to be seen too.
Yeah, because the reason why I brought it up is I think it would be, a good collaboration for the applicant and for the city to come to some sort of agreement if we go this direction. There's still succession. We can't answer questions off the floor, ma'am. Sorry. Commissioners,
Going back to, I understand that the lease we have nothing to do with the lease, but is there a way that the residents can understand that, whatever they get paid is gonna go back into the parks? It does not necessarily this one, but.
And like I mentioned, and maybe Trevor can to add to this, but yes, the lease is not part of this discussion. It's not part of your purview. And unless our legal counsel says otherwise, that's not something that we can really discuss at this because that's not part of a conditional use permit discussion.
That's correct, Johnny. Hopefully you can all hear me. But really the focus of this commission is really the standards set forth in the city's ordinance. My understanding from the city attorney is that the lease negotiations are ongoing. So specific to this consideration, I think the focus should really be on whether or not the commissioners find that the project meets the criteria that's been set forth in the staff report.
Commissioner Ochoa, or Delgadillo first.
I reside very close to a location where there's also one of those towers. And I went and visited some of my friends that live around there, and I haven't heard really any complaints from any of them concerning the tower that is very close to them. And if you're familiar, probably there's a storage facility close to where the dog park is, and where the unburied transitional hospital. And there's a tower there. The only problem that I saw is when they came around to make some repairs, they removed the branches to do the repairs. But when they put them back, they forgot to put the leaves on the branches. But there's an issue that's going to be taken care of. So other than that, I asked around, and I live very close to that place too, and I did not see any problems.
Thank you. Commissioner Ochoa?
I'm kind of on the same wavelength as you are, is putting a mural if this is the direction we're going to go with. And I do like the plant and figs idea around the surrounding area. The location it's in, is it simply just because that's the setback requirement away from the residential area there? I didn't know if there was another location where it's not really in the central of the park in that area.
Well, you can, of course, decide if there's a different location you'd want it in the park. I think that the choice in the grove of palm trees, it was because it could be concealed more than being in a different location of the park where it could be construed as being closer to homes. But the mural issue could be addressed through an additional condition. That's something that we could consider adding for you if that's something that you'd like to have moving forward with this if you decide to approve it.
I have a staffing queue. That'd be Quintero?
Commissioners, assuming that the applicant agrees to some sort of art or mural on the site, I do request that that not be a burden and become part of a city project that would take general fund dollars out. So that would have to be something to be negotiated with the applicant on the amount that they would be willing to spend on a mural.
Thank you. Commissioners, just to kind of put my 2 cents into this is, these are always tough. I mean, because we definitely get it. The first time this project came around, it was really tough. And I think we're kind of back in the same position as we were from the original location. Now we're in the second location. Though I do think the applicant at this point in time has met the requirements of our purview. And I think this is going to be one of those ones that we will have to push forward, as it will probably be appealed no matter which direction we go. If we decide to deny the project, the applicant will appeal it and take his action. And if we approve it, the community will appeal it to the city council. And so I think we just have to look at it, take it for what it is. The applicant has met the requirements once again, and took into consideration our previous situation and has done it. So that's kind of mine. So does anybody have anything else to add?
Are we allowed to ask the applicant if they would be willing to put in figs and murals in the area?
I believe that he has more time if, but I would defer to our legal counsel to see if that's a possibility.
I would recommend that the commission move forward with the application as it's currently presented to you.
With that being said, I would entertain a motion. If anybody has, unless somebody has something else. Commissioner Delgadillo, are you on the queue?
Yes, I make a motion to approve environmental review 25-0002, category exemptions, and number 2, conditional use permit number 25-0006.
Commissioners, we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? I'll second that. Commissioners, we have a second by Commissioner Tao. Commissioners, we have a motion to approve environmental review 250002 and conditional use permit 25006 as submitted. Commissioners, please cast your votes. The motion passes 5-1 with one abstain.
So where we appeal this?
Staff will answer any of your questions. Can we get a staff member to answer any questions? So we can continue with the meeting?
Well, this wouldn't be the venue to do that. So, if you'd like to ask some questions, we can talk to you after the meeting.
Chair Greggins, just to clarify for the record, there were 5 yes votes and 1 abstention.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to item E2, a general plan amendment, 24-01, the Northeast Yosemite Specific Plan Amendment, number 6, and tentative subdivision map 1329 Paulson Ranch. Kayla.
General Plan Amendment Number 24-01, Northeast Yosemite Specific Plan Amendment Number 6, Investing Tentative Subdivision Map Number 1329, initiated by Stonefield Home, Inc., property owner. The General Plan Amendment would amend the Merced General Plan Transportation and Circulation element by modifying the City of Merced Circulation Plan and all associated maps and descriptions throughout the General Plan to eliminate Destiny Drive from growing through the subject site to Paulson Road. The Northeast Yosemite Specific Plan Amendment would modify the design, layout, and circulation of the residential subdivision previously approved for the site. The vesting tentative subdivision map would subdivide approximately 39.12 acres into 104 residential lots. The subject site is generally located on the south side of East Cardella Road, 1,900 feet east of G Street. This is a public hearing.
Good evening, Planning Commission, members of the audience, Francisco Mendoza, Senior Planner. So the item before you is for one project, 3 different requests. 3 requests include a general plan amendment, so general plan amendment number 2401. Also a request to amend a specific plan, so Northeast Yosemite Specific Plan Amendment number 6. And yeah. I'll go shut the door. Sorry about
Please
that.
continue.
We're gonna go ahead and, Jesse, 1 second. Sorry about that. We gotta make sure that the doors are open since this is a public meeting.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, so as I mentioned, 3 requests with this application, 1 for a general plan amendment, another one to amend a specific plan, and the 3rd for vesting tentative subdivision map. The applicant is Stonefield Home Incorporated, and they are requesting to develop a subdivision with 104 lots. So, this project is a 2-step project, so, and there's 2 resolutions. So the 2 resolutions that are included in the report, one is in regards to portions of the request that the commission would have to recommend to the city council, and the other is final action by the planning commission. So the first resolution, recommendations to city council, includes 2 elements. So one is for general plan amendment. And for the general plan amendment, the applicant is requesting to amend a portion of the city's circulation element, since that is found within the city's general plan. And they are requesting to amend the portion of Destiny Drive that would go through the project site. They are not requesting any land use changes with this general plan amendment. The other request that the commission would do a recommendation to city council is the request to amend the specific plan, the Northeast Yosemite Specific Plan, And that's an older plan that was adopted 30-something years ago from the 1990s. Okay, the second resolution in regards to Planning Commission action is in regards to the vesting tentative subdivision map, again, to subdivide approximately 40 acres to 104 lots with some remainder lots. So looking at the project site shown here through the gold star is located within the northeast quadrant of the city limits. This slide here is a location map with an aerial image that provides a little bit more context to the site. So the subject site, 40 acres, is outlined in blue. And so some of the landmarks include to the left is Dignity Health Hospital, and just east of that is Crookshank Middle School. And the project site would extend essentially north from that boundary all the way up to Cardella Road. So this slide here shows two maps. It shows the general plan on the left and the zoning map on the right. And so the proposal, again, is going to be consistent with zoning and the general plan. The southern portions shown on the left and the right, respectively, in orange and in burgundy, those are higher density residential portions of the project site, and then the remainder would be in yellow, which is low density residential. At its full build out, if the developer wanted to maximize the site and build a maximum number of units, they could build approximately 550 units, but their request would be about 20% of that at 104 units. This slide here shows the subdivision map layout. And so the layout includes 6 cul-de-sacs. It also includes the installation of an extension of a collector road being Paulson Road, which would run north-south all the way from the southern portion of the project site all the way up to Cardella Road. All the lots, for the most part, are standard in size, so between 6,000 square feet and 14,250 square feet. So here is a closer look at the map. This is the northern portion of the map. So at the top where the 2 arrows are at, that's essentially where Paulson Road would be extended and intersect with Cardella Road. On the right-hand side, there's 2 areas that are called out. The one near the top is a remainder lot that would be carved out from the project site. And just below that is a 5-acre site known as Lot A. And we'll kind of go into details as to why these areas are being carved out. The areas shown in red are roads that would terminate at the end of the property line. Those roads would essentially be designed for future connectivity with future development to the west. This slide here is a closer look at the southern portion of the map. Again, the lots are consistent with the northern portion of the map. Shown on the bottom left, 2 things. There's a Lot B, which has been identified as a storm basin. That would be a little bit under an acre. And below that is Cottonwood Creek, of which there would be a bike path, a 25-foot wide bike path area. The path would actually be narrower. That would go essentially contiguous with the creek on the southern portion of it. Okay, so why are they requesting to amend the circulation element? That has to do with a study that was conducted on the site. Biologists, Galloway Enterprises, conducted a field survey, and they identified the area that's shown here in red near the northeastern portion of the project site as an area where there's historical flooding and that there is some wetlands in there. So therefore, they are protected areas and are being identified as areas to be avoided. So Destiny Road, which is a collector road, was essentially supposed to go through this site, but because it's a protected area, an area to be avoided, they would not be able to they would not be able to have the road go through there. And here is a portion of the general plan that's being amended. Again, it's the circulation element, so this is found in the general plan. It shows the street network of all the collector and arterial roads, which are the more trafficked roads, the wider roads, think of Olive Avenue, G Street, and so forth, that are within the city and also planned out for future growth of the city. So this is the portion of the map that would be amended in the general plan. And here is a closer look of that portion, which would be amended. Again, there's a specific plan that was adopted for this site back in the 1990s. And so the specific plan included a specific design for the neighborhood. And because of the identified wetland areas, they are not going to be able to design the subdivision as was originally planned with the specific plan. So that's why the specific plan is being amended. In terms of road widths, this slide here shows a cross-section of the various roads that would be located within the project site. So on the top left is the local street. So these are going to be the interior streets most common throughout the subdivision. The local streets would have 59 feet of right-of-way. That includes curb, gutter, sidewalk, park strips. The road itself would be 34 feet wide. And this is a road that's being designed to city standards that meets the city's engineering standards. Below that are cross sections showing the road width of Cardella Road, Paulson Road, and then another road that was identified as Street D. Public comments, staff published the public hearing notice in a qualified newspaper 3 weeks prior to this meeting. And also did a mail out to property owners within 300 feet of the site. Staff did not receive any comments from the general public, but also as part of the map review process, staff reached out to utility companies and staff received comments from MID, the Merced Irrigation District. So there's a memo that should have been put in front of you in the dais, which shows the conditions that would be added to address MID's concerns. And so those conditions would be, condition number 39 is specific to MID, which would require an encroachment permit prior to any work being done within an MID easement. And then condition number 40 was added by city staff and has also been communicated with the applicant, which essentially indicates that Lot A, the large area, the avoidance area, that's gonna be maintained by the property owner, so they'd be required to maintain it since it's still gonna be private property, and that it would not be part of the CFD annexation. Some other conditions, condition 23 and 24, require a 6-foot tall block wall along Cardella Road and Paulson Road to help reduce things like noise concerns and safety concerns. Condition number 28, essentially indicates that the developer would be required to dedicate all necessary easements with the map. Condition number 37 essentially indicates that the wetland areas that I showed earlier and that are also included as attachment I in the staff report are to be avoided. So again, the Planning Commission will be taking action on 2 resolutions. So at the top are action that you'd be recommending to City Council. So that includes to the approval, disapproval, or modification of Environmental Review 2407, of which staff has determined there is a negative declaration, and also for General Plan Amendment 2401 and Northeast Yosemite Specific Plan Amendment number 6. So these 3 would be recommendations to City Council, and below that, the direct action would be on the Environmental Review 2407 and also on vesting tentative subdivision map number 1329. Again, staff is recommending adding the 2 conditions that were provided in the memo. So that concludes the presentation. I'm available for any questions you may have. The applicant's engineers here from Benchmark Engineering, they're also available for any questions that you may have of them.
Perfect, thank you. Bring it back to the commission for questions to the project planner, Commissioner Delgadillo.
I would like to add another condition. Can I do that? I can recommend another condition.
You can possibly discuss it during the discussion section, and then we can have Johnny and the city attorney weigh in on it. But if you have, if you want to ask your condition in the form of a question, you can ask it now.
No, I'll wait when we discuss.
Okay.
Commissioners, any other questions? None? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
This is a public hearing. I now open the hearing for public comment. I invite the applicant to speak, if the applicant would like to say anything. The applicant is approaching. You will have 15 minutes, including rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Fellow commissioners, my name is Rick Mummert, Benchmark Engineering representing Stonefield Home, Inc. I also have Matt Rogers with Benchmark Engineering, who's the project manager. I just wanted to first thank planning staff. We've been working on this project for quite a while. We had some zero lot line townhomes in there originally, removed them, and are going straight with the general plan except for the collector roadway that we're trying to eliminate. But I wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping on a couple of the conditions and clarification. On the general plan amendment, Francisco, conditions 6 and 7 are the same. So just eliminate the duplicated condition, yeah. And then I wanted to move over to the conditions for the subdivision. And one of the requests I would like to make is where it said that condition 23, where there's a minimum 6-foot tall masonry wall, shall be installed along Cardella Road and Paulson Road. What we want to do there is just have a wall where there's a backup lot situation, not necessarily a side lot situation. So we had a couple projects in town. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but we have Renaissance, kind of in the eastern area of town. Renaissance had Merced Avenue, which is the same collector roadway, where we had streets, no lots fronting it, but we had streets that went into the north from Merced Avenue that had wood fences for the side yards. We also had another project called Sage Creek, which is over on the west side by Cardella, that on Monaco Drive, same situation. We have like 4 or 5 cul-de-sacs that went to the north of Monaco where the side yards of the collector was a wood fence. So I would just ask if it's a side yard fence that, and obviously we want to make it look nice also, but in that situation, we wouldn't necessarily have a wall, just the backup lot. So along lots, is that 100 through 104 would have a wall. So those are backup lot situations. Then we have lots 29, 30, and 31. Those would have walls also for your consideration. And then on condition number 29, it says where developers shall provide utility services for each lot, including sewer, water, gas, power, gas, et cetera. Gas is pretty much being eliminated in the state of California. So gas is an option, but a lot of subdivisions are going to electric only. So if gas could be not required, but an optional gas, just make that comment into the record. And one last thing I know, Francisco did a very thorough presentation, but I just want to not clarify, just make a point, but on the R32 area. So R32 area, which is general plan, allows up to 3 units per lot. So where we can go 20 units to acre if we propose apartments, since we're proposing lots, the maximum would be 3 units per lot for a triplex. There's 44 lots. If you add 3 units per lot, that'd be about 132, plus the 60 standard R1 lots would give another 60, so maximum units would be 192. Just so you know, we wouldn't be proposing 500 units there. Anyways, other than that, great job from planning staff, appreciate it, and be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant? Well, I do. I have a question.
Sure.
You listed out 6, 7, 23, and 29. For 23, can you explain just what the difference is between the wall that's in and then what a side yard fence, and the difference between heights, construction material, things of that nature for
Sure.
us that aren't in the
So
in the
when you
business?
have a backup lot situation, which we have a lot in Bellevue Ranch, you have a masonry wall. It doesn't allow access to that collector roadway through the wall. The wall's part of the CFD. It's in the city right of way, and that wall is some of it's for noise for the collector, some of it's for access. No vehicular access to that street, right? On a corner lot situation, the house is typically the sound barrier. So when you have a side lot, which say where the street's coming in and the lot actually fronts the incoming street into the collector, then that's a front yard situation where the side of the house, which is at the collector, would be a side yard, not a backyard, right? So then it becomes a different kind of fence. So in that situation, in both situations, they would be 6 foot.
Okay. All right, thank you. Commissioner Delgadillo, I see you in the queue. All right, do you have a question?
Are there any plans to do anything with the wetlands? Leave it as is?
No, it's an avoidance area at this time. Our client has decided, and I think that's one of the amended conditions that were brought in tonight, Francisco, or the added condition.
Correct.
So you could see on that one slide where Francisco showed the avoidance areas, you could see there's not part of our property, but there's the same issue to the east on the adjacent property, right? So there's always potential future mitigation that could be done there. Therefore, we're just leaving it open for the possibility in the future that if some of the irrigation dried up and that was able to change designation, then it would have that opportunity in the future.
Is it currently a small lake or just wetland?
Just wetland. It's kind of for years, it's been a overflow, settling low area of irrigation. A lot of those wetlands are created by, irrigation overflow, cattle, right? The hooves go in, little fairy shrimp comes in there, so whatever was on
Commonly
in the
known
future.
as a vernal pool.
Vernal pools,
Yeah.
fairy shrimp,
Yeah.
wetland areas. So it's been designated as an avoidance area. So at this point in time, it's an avoidance area.
But just think about the future, maybe make convert into a small little lake and then build a pedestrian crossover bridge. And so the residents, people can go there and feed the fish and the frogs, just for fun.
And the fairy shrimp.
I know it sounds funny, but I'm serious.
No, it's not funny. It's a vision, right? You have a vision that you would like to see, and that vision is exactly what we're doing in Bellevue Ranch. If you're all a part of the general plan amendment we did over on Barclay, we've eliminated that collector road and we're putting a pedestrian bridge. So the pedestrian bridge is going to be able to go over the creek and service the high school when Bellevue Ranch North develops. So no, it's a good vision, and it's a way to avoid that wetland area. You're right, Mr. Chairman, right? You get a pedestrian bridge that spans the whole area, then it does become an educational center, a beautification of that area, just rather than just the open space, right? Yeah, so, no, appreciate your input.
Commissioners, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Kayla, do we have any other speakers, written correspondence, or formalized opposition to this item?
No, we do not.
This is a public hearing. Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public comment is closed, and I'll bring it back to the commission for discussion. Commissioner Delgadillo.
Well, if there's, is there any discussions? If not, if not, I would like to make a motion.
Well, there is, I think there's a couple discussion, or something I wanted to discuss. Because the applicant did mention conditions 6, 7, 23, 29. What are our options with that?
Yes, there is some requested language from staff. I think condition number 23. So first of all, the applicant is requesting changes to 2 different resolutions, so you would have to be specific in your motion. And so the first good observation would be a cleanup item, so that would be for resolution number 4144. Our recommendation would be to just eliminate condition number 6 since it's redundant, and essentially a copy of condition number 7. And then the other, which was in regards to the block walls along Cardella Road, Paulson Road, something that we would recommend to give a little bit of flexibility would be modifying the end portion of the first sentence. So it would read as follows: a minimum 6-foot-tall masonry wall shall be installed along Cardella Road and Paulson Road, and then the following language would be added, as required by the city engineer. So that will allow the applicant, right, some time to discuss that condition with our engineering staff to make sure that what they are requesting is consistent and in compliance with our engineering standards. And I believe those were the only 2 conditions, right?
29, the gas option.
Okay, would you be able to please come back up to the podium and discuss that one a little bit more? I apologize, I missed something.
No. So a lot of builders now are electing not to have gas. California put into a new code about certain number of houses have to get off of gas, where it's all electric. And what they've done is they've laxed the Title 24 rules to allow the electric heat pumps, et cetera, in homes. So a lot of developers are electing not to go with PG&E gas, and you can't have propane separately throughout the subdivision. So if you can modify the condition to say optional gas rather than gas is required.
Yes, I am familiar with some of the prohibitions that you're referring to. They're common in other communities like Berkeley and others in the East Coast. What we could do with condition number 29, similar to condition number 23, we can give some discretion to the city engineer, if that's okay, since this is typically an engineering requirement. So we can add the language at the end of the first sentence as required by the city engineer.
As required, so if it's the city engineer's opinion that he loves gas or she loves gas, then we get gas, right? So, how about optional gas at the discretion of the city engineer? I just need to have gas as an option. And that's probably their boilerplate conditions, right?
These are boilerplate conditions, and unfortunately, we don't have anybody from the engineering department here. So I would love to hear what they would have to say about this. With this, it would at least allow some further discussions
Well, you know
with
what,
engineering
I
staff.
have a question. These are the tentative map conditions, right? So the tentative map conditions do not go to city council, Merced. That's pending the general plan and the specific plan amendment, right?
Correct.
So this would be the final conditions.
Correct.
Or is negotiated with the city engineer or some other, because then it's both, it's decision on both sides, right? Work together. We work with staff incredibly well here in Merced, probably one of the best cities in the state of California that we work with. So I'm not trying to be like rude or anything, but it's just trying to get it clarified.
We have used some of that language in the past, so
Okay.
we can add it as worked out between the city engineer and the applicant.
That'd be fine.
So we have verbiage on this, so we were past the sticking point?
Yeah.
Is that,
Unless the commission has anything else they would like to add, But
Right,
we-
between the two of you though, we're good right now?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
good, and this is just gonna be specifically for gas.
Okay,
Not
right,
for any of the other items, electrical,
29.
water, gas, correct.
Right, okay. And I guess I do just have one clarification. The applicant, I'm sorry I let you go sit back down, but I have it. You did bring up R3 in units. Was there any issue with that?
No, there isn't. I think the calculations were ultimately just trying to explain, when I mentioned 500 and something units, the maximum that could be built for the entire site. I think Rick's calculations mostly focus on the R3 portion, but my calculations included the R16 portions as well. So that might be a reason why the numbers are off. They don't have to build up to that amount.
Right.
But it's just an example of how impacts would be lessened. Obviously, instead of the maximum of 500 and something units, if you're at 104, it would be, 20% of the traffic, 20% of the noise, and that's data that was reflected in the initial study. That's part of the report.
Okay, I got that. Is
The
that your
R32
understanding as
the
well?
R32 area.
Yeah, so they were good on that.
Yeah, so 6,000 square foot minimum up to a triplex.
Yeah, correct. That would be at maximum. But what you're looking at here today is not necessarily the homes themselves, but just
Right.
the lots.
I was just making sure that the understanding on both was, on staff and on the applicant was good for tonight. That's all I was trying to figure out, so. Okay, cool. With that being said, I'll bring it back to the commission. Wait a minute, there's a staff two, would that be you?
We'll need the verbiage on 29 for sure.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna need verbiage. Is that where you're going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're staff two?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Are there any other questions or discussion on this? Okay, so we definitely are gonna need some verbiage to make this motion.
Yeah, so my recommendation, kind of going back to all the requested changes, would include, unless there's any more discussion, the elimination of condition number 6, that's part of Planning Commission Resolution 4144, and also the modification of 2 conditions from Planning Commission Resolution number 4145, which includes condition number 23, with the added language of as required by the city engineer at the end of the first sentence, and also a modification to condition number 29, which would include as worked out by the applicant and the city engineer regarding gas.
Thank you. I'm just pausing because I see people frantically writing things down, so I'm assuming they're coming up with their motions.
Commissioners, just so we're clear, the motion can be made as it's written on the screen, with the amendments as proposed by staff and read into the record, just so we're not confusing what the amendments are.
Perfect. With that being said, do we have a motion?
Is this specific for the recommendation to city council, or this is the bottom part, the bottom piece?
The first motion would be the recommendation to city council, and as Trevor, our attorney, mentioned, you can say as read by staff and as shown on the screen.
Okay.
Commissioner Delgadillo.
Well, I make a motion for us, commissioners to recommend to the city council environmental review number 24-07, negative declaration, number 1. Number 2, general plan amendment number 24-01. Number 3, Northeast Yosemite specific plan amendment number 6. And I continue with a motion to for approve, number 1, environmental review, number 24-07, negative declaration, and number 2, vesting tentative subdivision map number 1329, subject to City Council approval of General Plan Amendment Number 24-01 and Northeast Yosemite Specific Plan Amendment Number 6.
Commissioner, if I may add, I think one more piece is and with conditions as amended by staff.
Are you friendly with the attorney's suggestion?
Yes.
Thank you.
I apologize. And a question for our attorney. Usually, there's two separate motions, one for the recommendation, the resolution regarding the recommendation to council, and then another motion for the direct action. Trevor, is it okay if they combine them like they just did, or should they just separate them out?
I mean, I heard two motions, so we're going to do a second for the first motion for the recommendations to the city council, and then we'll vote, and then we'll have a second for the direct action.
Gotcha.
So 2 votes.
Sounds good.
2 seconds and 2 votes.
Okay, we have a motion for the recommendation to city council to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second the recommendation to city council.
We have a motion and a second. Commissioners, please cast your votes. Motion passes unanimously. Give it a second for everything to kind of reset itself. Commissioners, we have a motion for the direct action.
I second.
We have a second from Commissioner Swigert. Commissioners, please cast your votes. Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations. That brings us to item E3. It's a resolution of denial for GPA 2402, PD revision number 3, map 1332, site plan 551. Yeah, that was definitely a slip. Minor use permit 2413 Yosemite 1380 LLC. I do want to make a comment on this one. This is not a public hearing. There was a clerical error, so we're just taking action on this. Kayla?
Recommendation to adopt a resolution of denial for General Plan Amendment Number 24-02, Site Utilization Plan Revision Number 3 to Plan Development Number 20, Vesting Tentative Subdivision Map Number 1332, Site Plan Number 551, Minor Use Permit Number 24-13, initiated by Eric Gonzalez on behalf of Yosemite 1380 LLC property owner.
Oh, that's me again.
Comments?
Are there any comments is there any comments from the public on this item? Seeing none, commissioners? And seeing no comments, do we have a motion?
I will make a motion to recommend denial to city council for environmental review number 24-25, general plan amendment number 24-02, and 3 site utilization plan revision number 3 to plan development number 20.
Commissioners, we have a motion by Commissioner Ochoa. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Commissioner Swigert. Commissioners, please cast your votes. Motion passes unanimously. Do we need another motion on this one? Yep.
Just to confirm that the motion was to recommend to adopt the resolution of denial, correct? Okay.
Yes. Do we need another motion on this one? No.
No, you don't.
Yep, we're good. So that brings us to item F, informational items. Johnny?
Well, thank you. That's me. So what we have coming up is the May 21st Planning Commission meeting. We have the 5-year fiscal year 25 to 26 capital improvement program. The city engineer will be here to present that. We also have a CUP application coming before you regarding a gym in an existing building in a light industrial zone. On June 4th, we currently have scheduled a conditional use permit for a food truck, for a multiple food truck site at 720 Motel Drive. And then we do not have a planning commission meeting. We're considering to actually cancel planning commission meeting on June 18th because we are putting together a general plan workshop that would combine the planning commission with the city council as we gear up to begin our general plan update, which will be a couple of year-long activity. And so we will be starting that process, including you and the city council, hopefully on that date. So stay tuned for that confirmation. And then we do have a couple of planning commission meetings later in July as well, but those have not been scheduled. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. And that brings us to item G, adjournment. I will need a motion.
A motion to adjourn.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, this meeting is adjourned as of 7:41.